The discovery that shook the galaxy. The silent message. Captain Zevare stood before the observation window of the research vessel Infinite Dawn, her crystalline fingers pressed against the cold glass. Beyond the viewport, a dead planet rotated slowly. Earth, the humans called it. Or rather, had called it. The blue world looked peaceful from orbit, almost alive. White clouds drifted across vast oceans. Green patches dotted the continents. But Zevare knew better. The sensors told a different story. No heat signatures. No electromagnetic signals. No life. Earth had been silent for 300 years. Captain, called out her science officer, Thren, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. We've located the source of the signal. It's coming from beneath the surface. Deep underground. Zevare turned from the window, her elegant robes shifting with the movement. The Galactic Council had sent them here on a simple mission: investigate the mysterious transmission that had suddenly activated after centuries of silence. One final message from a dead civilization. How deep? She asked. 2 kilometers below what the humans called North America, Thren replied, manipulating the holographic display with practiced ease. The structure appears intact. Remarkably preserved. The journey down. The landing was smooth. Too smooth, perhaps. Earth's atmosphere was still breathable, still perfect for carbon-based life. Yet nothing lived here anymore. The cities below were overgrown, reclaimed by nature. Towers that once scraped the sky now stood as hollow monuments, wrapped in vines and moss. Zevare led her team across the ancient landscape. She had studied human history extensively. These creatures had been remarkable, creative, passionate, stubborn. They had reached for the stars with primitive technology, driven by curiosity alone. And then they vanished. Captain, the entrance is here, announced Krell, the team's engineer. His thick, armored hide made him ideal for heavy work. He cleared away centuries of debris, revealing a metal door marked with faded symbols. Thren scanned the writing. It says, "Time capsule. To whoever finds this, remember us." Something tightened in Zevare's chest, an emotion her species rarely experienced. Sadness, perhaps. Or respect. The door opened with a groan of ancient metal. Inside, a tunnel stretched downward, lit by emergency lights that somehow still functioned. Human engineering, Zevare thought with admiration. Built to last. The Chamber of Memories. The descent took an hour. The team moved carefully through corridors lined with strange artifacts, books sealed in protective cases, devices whose purposes had been lost to time, images of human faces frozen in moments of joy and sorrow. Finally, they reached the main chamber. It was vast, an underground cathedral dedicated to memory. At the center stood a massive computer system, its lights blinking steadily. Waiting. By the ancient stars, whispered Thren. It's still active. After 3 centuries, it's still running. Zevare approached slowly. On the main console, a simple message glowed in multiple languages: "Play me." She pressed the button. The human's tale. The holographic projector hummed to life. A figure appeared, a human woman with kind eyes and tired features. She wore a white coat, the uniform of their scientists. "Hello," the woman said, her voice echoing through the chamber. "My name is Dr. Sarah Chen. If you're watching this, then humanity is gone. And I'm sorry you had to find us this way." The team stood in silence, transfixed. "We didn't die from war," Dr. Chen continued. "We didn't destroy ourselves with weapons or greed, though we came close many times. No, we died trying to save someone else." The hologram shifted, showing images of space. A beautiful nebula, swirling with colors. And at its center, something else, a dark anomaly, growing. 40 years ago, we detected something terrible, Dr. Chen explained. A rift in space, expanding slowly. Our scientists calculated that within a century, it would consume this entire sector of the galaxy. Billions of lives. hundreds of civilizations. Zevare felt her breath catch. She knew of no such rift. Which meant, "We found a way to stop it," Dr. Chen said, and now her expression held both pride and sorrow. But the solution required an enormous amount of energy. More than our planet could produce in 1,000 years. So we made a choice. The hologram showed Earth's cities, filled with humans going about their lives. Then, slowly, the cities began to dim. We decided to sacrifice ourselves. Dr. Chen's voice trembled slightly. Every human on Earth volunteered. We built a network of energy converters, connecting every power source on our planet. Then we channeled everything, every bit of electricity, every nuclear reactor, every battery, into one massive pulse. The sacrifice. The images showed it all. Humans saying goodbye to their families. Cities going dark one by one. People gathering in parks and streets, holding each other as the lights went out forever. The energy transfer took 6 months, Dr. Chen continued. Slowly, carefully, we drained our world of power. We knew what it meant. Without electricity, without heat, without technology, we couldn't survive. But we did it anyway. Tears rolled down several faces on Zevare's team. Even species that rarely cried found themselves moved. We aimed the pulse directly at the rift. The calculations were perfect. The energy was enough. Dr. Chen smiled sadly. Humanity's last great achievement was saving people we'd never meet. Civilizations we'd never know. The hologram flickered. Dr. Chen looked directly at the camera, as if she could see across the centuries. "So please," she said softly. "Don't feel sad for us. We made our choice freely. Every single one of us agreed. 8 billion humans, united in one final act." She paused. "Just remember us. Tell your children that once, there was a species called humanity. Tell them we reached for the stars. Tell them we cared." The truth revealed. The recording ended. Silence filled the chamber, heavy, profound, sacred. Zevare stood perfectly still, processing what she'd witnessed. Her mind raced through the implications. 300 years ago, there had been no record of any rift. The Galactic Council's history mentioned no such threat. Because the humans had stopped it before anyone else even knew it existed. They had saved billions of lives. Entire civilizations owed their existence to this sacrifice. And no one had known. Until now. Captain Thren's voice was barely a whisper. "There's more data here. Coordinates. Names. They documented everything, every civilization that would have been affected. Every world they saved." Zevare looked at the list as it appeared on the screen. Hundreds of species. Thousands of worlds. Her own planet was there, marked in red, high risk, 94% chance of destruction. The Galactic Council. The Federation of Stars. The Merchant Guilds. All the great civilizations that had flourished over the past 3 centuries, they all owed their survival to a species they'd never heard of. "What do we do now?" asked Krell, his usual confidence shaken. Zevare turned to face her team, her expression resolved. "We make sure the galaxy knows. We make sure humanity is never forgotten." She looked back at the frozen image of Dr. Chen, still smiling her sad, brave smile. "They saved us all," Zevare said quietly. "The least we can do is remember them. The galaxy remembers." The message spreads. The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Within days, every civilization had heard the story. The recording of Dr. Chen played on 1 billion screens, translated into 1,000 languages. At first, some doubted. Surely it was a myth, a beautiful lie. But the evidence was undeniable. Human records were thorough, scientific, precise. The energy signatures matched. The timeline aligned perfectly. 300 years ago, the humans had died to save the galaxy. And the galaxy had never known. Zevare watched the reactions from the Bridge of Infinite Dawn. Her mission had changed from simple investigation to something far greater. She had become humanity's messenger, their final voice speaking across the void. "Captain, incoming transmission from the Galactic Council," announced her communications officer. "They're requesting an immediate assembly. All member civilizations." Zevare nodded. She had expected this. "Tell them I'll present my findings personally." The council gathering. The Grand Assembly Hall floated in neutral space, a massive station where representatives from across the galaxy gathered to discuss matters of importance. Zevare had been here before, but never had she felt such weight on her shoulders. The amphitheater was packed. Every seat filled with beings of countless shapes and forms, crystalline entities that sang their thoughts, gas-based creatures in containment suits, towering behemoths, and tiny swarmas, all united by curiosity and growing disbelief. Zevare stood at the central podium, the holographic recording ready to play. "Honored delegates," she began, her voice steady despite her emotions. "I bring you news of a civilization that saved us all. A species that chose extinction over allowing others to suffer." She played the recording. Dr. Chen's words echoed through the vast chamber. Not a single being spoke. Some wept. Others sat in stunned silence, their multiple hearts beating in synchrony with the terrible truth. When it ended, the silence stretched for a full minute. Then, something unprecedented happened. The delegate from the crystalline accord stood, a being of living diamond that rarely showed emotion. "This cannot stand," she sang, her voice resonating through the hall. "We owe them everything. Humanity must be honored." "Agreed," rumbled a delegate from the Titan Collective, his massive frame shaking the floor. "But how do you honor a species that no longer exists?" "A monument to the fallen." The debate lasted for hours. Suggestions flew, memorials, holidays, historical records. But nothing felt adequate. How do you thank the dead? How do you repay a debt to those who can never receive payment? Finally, an elderly delegate from the luminous path stood. Her species were philosophers, known for wisdom accumulated over millennia. "We cannot bring them back," she said softly. "But we can ensure they are never truly gone." She gestured, and a hologram appeared, a design, beautiful and ambitious. "We build a monument at the center of the galaxy," she continued. "A structure visible from any inhabited system. We tell their story in stone and light and memory. And we vow, every civilization here, that we will live better lives because of their sacrifice." The proposal passed unanimously. Within months, construction began. The Eternal Beacon. The monument to humanity took 10 years to complete. It was the largest structure ever built, a ring of gleaming metal surrounding a small, preserved section of Earth itself, transported from the dead planet below. At the monument's heart, a garden grew, plants from Earth, carefully cultivated, forever green. And in that garden stood a simple statue, Dr. Sarah Chen, hand outstretched, offering hope. But the monument was more than stone and metal. It was alive with technology beyond anything humans had possessed. A quantum beacon broadcast their story to every corner of the galaxy, ensuring that no species, no matter how distant, would fail to learn of humanity's sacrifice. The pilgrimage begins. Zevare returned to the monument often. She had become its unofficial guardian, the one who had first carried humanity's message to the stars. On one visit, she found the garden crowded. Beings from across the galaxy had come, not just to see the monument, but to leave offerings. Books written in humanity's honor. Artworks depicting their final days. Children's drawings showing humans as heroes. A young Quillen approached her, its tentacles quivering with emotion. "Are the stories true?" it asked in halting galactic standard. "Did they really save everyone?" Zevare knelt down, meeting the child's many eyes. "Yes," she said gently. "Every word is true." "I wish I could thank them," the child whispered. "You can," Zevare replied. She gestured to the statue, to Dr. Chen's eternal smile. "Live a good life. Be kind. Help others." That's what they would have wanted. The human code. Something unexpected emerged from humanity's sacrifice, a philosophy that spread across the galaxy like seeds on wind. Species that had warred for centuries made peace, invoking the human example. Politicians who had been corrupt found themselves shamed by the comparison. Scientists and artists and ordinary people across 1,000 worlds asked themselves, what would the humans do? The Galactic Council established new laws based on principles found in human records, concepts like equal rights, justice, and compassion. Ideas that humanity had struggled with but never abandoned. They weren't perfect, Zevare often reminded people. Their own records show they fought wars, made mistakes, caused suffering. But they learned. They grew. And in the end, they chose something better. The discovery. 20 years after the monument's completion, Zevare received an urgent message. Her old crew had made another discovery on Earth. She arrived to find Thren practically vibrating with excitement. Captain, you need to see this. We found another chamber. Deeper than the first. This facility was smaller, hidden beneath layers of security. And inside, preserved in stasis pods, they found something impossible. Seeds. Millions of them. Every plant species from Earth, carefully stored and labeled. DNA samples from animals. Digital libraries containing every book, every song, every piece of art humanity had ever created. And a final message from Dr. Chen, we couldn't save ourselves. But maybe, someday, someone else can bring us back. Not as we were, but as we might have been. This is our gift to the future, the possibility of tomorrow. The vote. The discovery sparked the greatest debate in galactic history. Should humanity be revived? Could they be revived? And if so, who had the right to make that choice? The Galactic Council met for months. Arguments flew on both sides. Some said humanity had earned their rest. Others insisted that the galaxy owed them a second chance. Zevare testified passionately. They saved us, she said. They asked for nothing in return except memory. But we can give them more. We can give them life. The vote was close. But finally, after much deliberation, the decision was made. Humanity would return. The rebirth. The process took decades. Carefully, lovingly, the galaxy's greatest scientists worked to restore what had been lost. They used the preserved seeds to rebuild Earth's ecosystems. They studied the DNA samples to understand human biology. They read the digital libraries to comprehend human culture. And finally, in carefully controlled environments, the first humans in 300 years opened their eyes. They were children, raised by volunteers from across the galaxy. Taught about their heritage, their sacrifice, their incredible legacy. Zevare was there when the first human child spoke her first words. The girl looked up at her crystalline face and said simply, "Thank you." "No," Zevare replied, her voice catching. "Thank you. Thank all of you, for everything you gave us." A new beginning. Earth bloomed again. Humans grew, learned, thrived. But they were different now, raised with the knowledge of what their ancestors had done, of the incredible gift that had been given them. They joined the Galactic Council not as newcomers, but as honored members. Their voice carried weight. Their wisdom, earned through sacrifice, was respected. And every year, on the anniversary of humanity's sacrifice, the galaxy paused. From the most distant colony to the busiest space station, beings of every species stopped for one moment of silence. To remember. To honor. To ensure that humanity's choice, the decision to save strangers at the cost of everything, would never be forgotten. The legacy lives on. Zevare grew old, as all beings must. But she lived long enough to see something beautiful, the first human-designed starship launching from Earth, carrying the new generation out into the galaxy their ancestors had saved. She stood in the garden at the monument, watching the launch on her personal display. Beside her, now grown, stood the Quillan child who had asked about the humans so long ago. "They're going to make their ancestors proud," the Quillan said, now a respected diplomat in their own right. Zevare smiled, her crystalline features catching the light. They already have. As the ship disappeared into the stars, she looked up at the statue of Dr. Chen. The stone face still smiled that gentle, sad smile. Still offered that outstretched hand. And somewhere, across the infinite distances of space and time, Zevare liked to imagine that the real Dr. Chen was smiling too. Proud of what her sacrifice had created. Proud of the galaxy that had chosen to remember. Proud of the humans who had come home.